Good day, class. I am Teacher Jam.
And I'm Teacher Reymarlyn, and we are your teachers for today.
How's everybody doing? I hope all of you are doing well. No matter how heavy our burdens are, always keep in mind that God is bigger than our burdens. Instead of complaining, we should seek God's guidance and entrust all of our worries to Him. So, all we have to do is trust Him, okay? So, having said that, let's proceed to our lesson. For the motivation part, we will have a 4-item warm-up multiple choice in Kahoot. It will be explained further by Teacher Reymarlyn. So, Teacher Reymarlyn, take it away.
Thank you, Teacher Janica. For our motivation, you will answer a 4-item warm-up multiple choice in Kahoot. You have to choose the options that suits your own behavior in a given situation. You can access it through this link. You can scan or enter the pin to join the game. So shall we start? Okay, in this game, we have 4 questions, and the questions is opinion based, so there are no wrong answers here. Okay, shall we start? Let's start with question number 1. Okay, go. In question number 1, you overhear a friend talking badly about you. How angry does that make you feel? A. I don't feel angry at all. B. I feel slightly annoyed. C. I feel little angry. D. I feel furious. Okay, go keep your answers coming. Well, it seems like you all have a different point of view in this question number 1. Okay, let's proceed to question number 2. Your friend persuades you to take help to prepare for the maths board examination from a close friend. That person does not turn up at all, as agreed. How angry does that make you feel? A. I don't feel angry at all. B. I feel slightly annoyed. C. I feel a little angry. And D. I feel furious. Okay, keep your answers coming. Okay, let's move forward to question number 3. You have agreed to pick up some friends at the train station. They are coming to stay with you for a few days. You've arranged with your elder brother, sister to drive the car for the day. You're about to leave the house when you realize the car is outside, but your brother, sister has gone to work taking the keys. How angry does that make you feel? A. I don't feel angry at all. B. I feel slightly annoyed. C. I feel a little angry. D. I feel furious. You're contradicting answers. Okay, let's move forward to 4. During get together, your friend makes fun of your singing in front of your friends. You thought your singing was fine, but your friend thinks you really need to practice much more. How angry does that make you feel? A. I don't feel angry at all. B. I feel slightly annoyed. C. I feel a little angry. D. I feel furious. You sure feel furious, I know, right? Oh, and that's the end of our warming exercise. Are you all familiar with the instructional game that I've administered earlier, which entitled the Kahoot? If you're not familiar with this educational tools, I will play a short video regarding this game for a additional knowledge how this game works.
Hi, we're Kahoot. We're on a mission to make learning awesome. Our game-based learning platform is used by millions of people all over the world. Teachers, students, company employees, and lifelong learners. Kahoot makes it easy to create fun learning games or trivia quizzes in minutes, anytime, anywhere. We call them Kahoots. It works for any subject, in any language, on any device. You can also discover and play existing games. There are millions of Kahoots in our library. Kahoot can be played in a live setting with questions on a big screen, or on your mobile device where you see questions and answers on one screen. As well as in schools, Kahoot is played in companies, at events, and even parties to make learning awesome.
Now that you're done answering the warm-up exercises, I have a question for the class. What do you think is the prevailing theme that was kept mentioning in the question earlier? Anyone? Yes, Mr. Pumida. Very good. So, the anger is the prevailing theme that was mentioned in the question earlier. So, I have a question for the class. What makes you angry? Yes, Miss Alvarez. Thank you, Miss Alvarez. Correct. We have a lot of emotions. At different times, we may be happy, sad, or jealous. Anger is just another way we feel. It's perfectly okay to be angry at times. In fact, it's important to get angry sometimes, but anger must be released in a right way. Another question. Does your anger ever cause you to say or do something that you later regret? Yes, Mr. Del Rosario. Thank you, Mr. Del Rosario. Class, anger can be useful in expressing how we feel to others. However, we cannot get angry with everyone and everything we encounter. So, we must learn to express our anger appropriately.
In connection to our activity earlier, our lessons for today is a poem entitled Poison Tree. But before that, we are going to discuss the lesson objective as well as the background of the author. Okay, let's start with the learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students are expected to A. Understand the life of the author, which is William Blake, and then identify the writer's purpose and message in writing the poem, and then last, distinguish the use of symbolism in the passage. Let's move forward to the poet's background. Okay. William Blake was an English poet during the Romantic era who wrote extensively about God, nature, and beauty of human imagination. Although Blake is now an important literary figure in history, he was not recognized for his work during his lifetime. As you read The Poison Tree, consider the relationship between friendship, anger, and morality. For our next activity, Teacher Janica will present unfamiliar words found in the poem. So, Teacher Janica, take it away!
Thank you, Teacher Reymarlyn. So, class, you have to determine the meaning of the words through the use of vocabulary spelling city.
Take another shot. That's right. Read the definition and choose the word that matches. Fantastic. Read the synonym and choose the word that matches. That's right. Read the definition and choose the word that matches.
Deceitful. Rat. Veiled.
That's the one.
Good job, class. So, rat means anger, foe means enemy, deceitful means deceiving or misleading others, whilst means tricks, and veiled means covered. Now that you know the meaning of these unfamiliar words, let's proceed to our next activity. Back to you, Teacher Reymarlyn.
Okay, let's move forward to paired reading. Okay, in this, I will pair you up, then I'll give you a 10 minutes to read the poem and collaborate with your partner. After you read the text, I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? Are we clear? So, shall we start? Wait. Class, time's up! I hope you understand and comprehend the story very well. So, I'm going to ask you 7 questions, and please raise your hands if you want to answer. Let's start with question number 1. In the first stanza, what happens when the speaker tells his friend that he is angry? What happens when the speaker does not tell his foe about his anger? Yes, Mr. Miento. May I hear your insight regarding these questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Miento. It was indeed, as the poem opens, the speaker described how he was angry with his friend. Still, he told his friend he was angry and presumably why he was angry, and his anger disappeared. While on the line 3 to 4, the speaker describes a different scenario now. He was once angry with his enemy but didn't tell him about it. Since the speaker did not talk about his anger got bigger and bigger. Okay, let's proceed to question number 2. What is the tone of the stanza 2? Yes, Mr. Carrillo, let me hear your opinion or answer with these questions. Very well said, thank you, Mr. Carrillo. The negativity of the speaker is implied indeed in the stanza 2. His only true emotions are fear and tears. He treats his anger very much like a plant. A plant needs to water and sun in order to grow, and so apparently that's his anger. Alright, let's proceed to question number 3. In the third stanza, what do the tree and apple symbolize? Yes, Miss Bertis. Okay, yes, Miss Bertis. Thank you, Miss Bertis. The poem uses an extended metaphor to describe the speaker's anger as growing into a tree that bears poisonous apples. The speaker's enemy then eats an apple from the tree and dies. The poem is generally interpreted as an allegory for the danger of bottling up emotions and how doing so leads to a cycle of negativity and even violence. Okay, let's move forward to question number 4. What does the speaker's foe do with the apple? What will be the result? Yes, Mr. Valenzuela. Okay, thank you, Mr. Valenzuela. The enemy snuck into the speaker's garden during the dead of night. The next morning, the speaker is happy to see this enemy lying dead beneath the tree. For numbers 5 to 7, it will be administered by Teacher Janica. So, Teacher Janica, take it away!
Thank you, Teacher Reymarlyn. Question number 5. We read stanza 3. According to the speaker, what happens when you continue to be angry? Is this something a person should do? Yes, Miss Benavides. Thank you, Miss Benavides. According to the speaker, if we hold our anger within and nurture it, it is poisonous and can harm others. Of course, hurting others is unnecessary, and this is not something a person should do. Number 6. Consider the consequences of the speaker's actions. What is Blake trying to convey about friendship, forgiveness, honesty, anger, and morality? Yes, Miss Avara. Thank you, Miss Avara. Another. Yes, Mr. Habeliana. Thank you, Mr. Habeliana. The Poison Tree is a descriptive and straightforward poem about human emotions and their consequences. The poem illustrates the key human emotion, anger, and the consequences of being angry with someone. It is also explains that anger becomes deadly and devious if it is not expressed honestly. However, the popularity of the poem lies in the fact that it deals with one of the common feelings of human life. The poet has discussed the duality of human nature in this poem. He says that his anger with his friend vanishes as soon as he expresses it, but he does not air his annoyance with his foe, which grows and morphs into something poisonous. In addition, the poem also discusses the catastrophic effects of unexpressed anger. The poet very artistically delves deep into the darker side of the human mind and captures the damage that anger does to the heart where it nourishes and becomes a poison. Blake explains that it is easy to forgive friends, but enemies are never forgiven. And when a person tries to hide his or her hatred, it gradually grows into a mighty and destructive force. Number 7. In the context of this poem, what is a friend? What do you think is the difference between a friend and a foe? Yes, Miss Andal. Thank you, Miss Andal. According to the context of the poem, a friend is something that we could easily forgive. In the poem, the speaker's anger is directed towards a friend, someone with whom the speaker is familiar with. The speaker talked about anger that he or she was feeling toward a friend, and how talking about the anger made it go away. The straightforward simplicity of these lines suggests the ease with which the anger disappeared, and being open and honest is an extremely effective antidote to wrath. I think there is no difference between a friend and a foe, because both could give you a reason to be angry. But I think that if we treat our enemy as if they are our friend, there will be no anger to hold.
Okay, class, now that we've finished analyzing the poem, let's move to our literary focus for this lesson. Okay, could you, Mr. Dicaras, please describe the form or pattern employed in the poetry Poison Tree? Very good, Mr. Dicaras. You're absolutely correct. The poem indeed is divided into 4 stanzas, each with 4 lines, with the first and the second stanza being quatrains, having AAB trochee rhyme scheme. In trochee, 2 sorts of syllables are used. One is stress, while the other is unstressed. Okay, this pattern is repeated throughout the poem, as shown by lines such as I told my rage, my wrath did end. Okay, greetings, Miss Mendoza. What conclusion can you draw from the previous discussion of the poem? Okay, very good. The author indeed used literary devices in this poem, but what literary device do you think the author employed in this poem? Okay, very good. The author employs literary strategies such as antithesis, alliteration, imagery, allusion, and metaphor. But the symbolism is the poem's primary language focus, on our today's lesson. Okay, the author, as I mentioned earlier, indeed incorporate literary devices, and one of them is the symbolism. Yes, it's right. But what is symbolism? Okay, symbolism is using symbols to signify ideas and qualities, giving the symbolic meanings different from literal ones. Okay, can you give me an example of the poem Symbolism? Very good. The tree and the garden are some example of symbolism that is in the poem. But what do you think it symbolizes? That's right. The tree symbolizes his wrath and anger, whereas the garden is the symbol of the heart where hatred is tortured.
For your performance task, you have to think of any story or movie that has a similar concept to the poem Poison Tree by William Blake. Then give a brief explanation of why you think it has a similar concept to the poem. I'm giving you 15 minutes to answer. Time starts now. Time's up. Who wants to share his or her answer with the class? Yes, Mr. Dano. Very good. Poison tree makes a number of allusions to the biblical story of Adam and Eve, told in chapter 3 of the book of Genesis. The tree that bore an apple bright calls to mind the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden. Its fruit, which God forbids Adam and Eve from eating, is traditionally referred to as an apple. The speaker who lures his enemy into the garden and tempts him to eat the apple is like the serpent in Eden. This suggests that the speaker's anger has filled him with evil and led him to resemble the devil. Also, the speaker's foe is like Adam and Eve. Although they are helped by the serpent, they are still guilty of disobedience. The speaker's foe is not innocent either. He sneaks into the garden and eats the apple without permission. In the poem, as in Genesis, the fruit represents sin and death. In both cases, sin is the cause of death. Another idea. Yes, Miss Panganiban. Very good observation, Miss Panganiban. The poisonous apple in the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has a similar concept to the poem Poison Tree. In the movie, the evil queen tricked Snow White into eating a poisonous apple because she wanted Snow White dead. The evil queen represents the speaker in the poem. Snow White is the foe, and the poisonous apple represents his anger and jealousy of Snow White's beauty. For the assessment part, you will answer it via Google form. You can access it through this link. Your assessment will be explained further by Teacher Reymarlyn. So, Teacher Reymarlyn, take it away.
Your assessment will be divided into 3 parts, starting with fill in the gap, identification, and picture cute. Okay, in test 1, you have to fill in the missing words to complete the poem. While on test 2, you will match the sentence parts by choosing the correct answer on column B. In test 3, you will look at the picture below the two people that are obviously arguing and both are extremely angry with each other. Okay, the question is here that needs to be answered by you in an essay form is, how could you help to solve their problem? Okay, here you will explain and justify. You can access this exam through this link of Google Form. While for your assignment, it will be explained further by Teacher Janica. So, Teacher Janica again, take it away.
Thank you, Teacher Reymarlyn. For your assignment, you will create a comic strip that shows the sequence of events in the poem Poison Tree by William Blake. You can add further details to your comic strip or even your own interpretation of it. Attached below is a sample of the comic strip that was created by storyboard.com. You can access it through this link. Rubric for scoring. Content is 50%. Creativity 30%. Graphics including relevance, clarity, and originality 20% for the total of 100%.
See you on our next meeting. I hope you learned something.
Have fun learning. Thank you and stay safe.